most of the diseases begins here, near the gut.
What are the basics of leading a well-rounded, holistic life?
Your longevity is better when you're doing yoga and meditation because you're reducing your heart rate. And that's 1 kilogram of bacteria in a human being. Ayurveda also goes deeper to explain that diseases is a manifestation of what's going on in the mind. Gut impacts your skin, your hair, your neurological health, and even your mental, emotional health. In Indian culture, we never had breakfast. We had only 2 meals a day. The most common mistake that all of us make. Mixing dairy with fruits. Cravings are also controlled by the gut. When you know what it is doing, you will not put it in your mouth again.
Did you know that 99% of diseases are preventable? Or that salads are actually harmful for you? Hi, my name is Karishma Mehta and I welcome you to Realign the podcast. Together, we'll explore the fascinating intersection of science, spirituality and wellness. Today we're joined by Dr. Dimple Jangda, a world-renowned Ayurveda and gut health coach who works with the likes of Juhi Chawla and Anjali Tendulkar. She combines food science with Ayurveda to tackle gut health. She claims that all our diseases stem from the gut. In this eye-opening conversation, Dr. Jangda simplifies the gut so that you can make easy to implement choices for a healthier life. It's time to realign mind, body and soul. Welcome to Realign, Dr. Dimple. And it's lovely to have you because I think that it's one of the most relevant topics that everybody has been paying attention to recently, the gut. And you've spoken so much about it. You have such a deep and ingrained knowledge about it that I think it's going to add a lot of value to people who are going to tune into the episode.
Thank you so much for having me. And definitely, it's the era of gut health now.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to start with something very basic. As we delve deeper later, we'll just start with something on the base level, which is, as per Ayurveda, what are the basics of leading a well-rounded, holistic life?
You know, the word Ayurveda itself has all the meaning in it. It means Ayu plus Veda, knowledge of life or the science of life. It's a science that allows you to personalize your diet and lifestyle based on your unique body type, which is your body composition or your unique biological blueprint, and based on your age, based on your genetic factors, your family conditions, the topographic conditions, the geographic conditions, so that you can achieve your goal to live a long, healthy, and a happy life. That literally is the essence of Ayurveda. It's a personalized science and stresses a lot on preventive healthcare rather than just curative healthcare.
Right.
Unfortunately, we're all running, pillar to post from one hospital to another, trying to figure out answers to all our health issues. Yeah. And by the day it's going up. Look at, heart health issues and cancer. It's become the top 2 killers in the world. And the third largest killer in the world right now is pharmaceutical drugs. Wow. That are prescribed by doctors, right? Unfortunately, because of all the side effects and, the long-lasting impact it has on the body, people are constantly battling from one disease to another side effect, to another disease, to another disease.
It's like an endless loop.
Absolutely. We're like a hamster.
When you take this prescribed medication, it solves one problem, but gives rise to another problem.
Absolutely.
And then you're in this endless loop of exactly what you just mentioned. So let's go down to the very basics, right? I want you to assume, and you must assume rightfully because I'm that audience, I know very little. So let's talk about the building blocks of Ayurveda, the doshas, and we'll take it from there.
All right. So very basic, the entire universe, all plants, animals, birds, human beings, and everything that you see right from this couch, to this microphone, they're made of only 5 elements. Earth, water, fire, air, and space. Yeah. You don't have anything outside of this. If you find something, it probably belongs to Superman. Don't touch it, right? So there's just 5 elements in this universe. And when we understand at the micro level that we're only made of these 5 elements, it becomes very easy for us to treat the imbalances in our body.
Okay.
Even if one element goes out of balance, it causes diseases connected to that element.
Right.
So take, for example, we begin with earth and water. Earth and water is the most basic, heavy, gross of all the 5 elements. Gross in the sense, it's heavy, it's dense, you can feel it, you can touch it, you can transport it from one place to another. Earth and water comes together to give your body a structure, a form. Your bones, your muscles, tissues, teeth, nails, hair, everything that you can see with the naked eye is made of earth and water. So it gives you that physical form and structure, right? And stability.
Correct.
It's like, earth and water comes together to make a clay pot.
Yeah.
Now it's a clay pot, which has got a definite shape or a definite identity to it.
It has a form.
It has a form.
Yeah.
And then you have fire, right? Now, what do you do with a clay pot? It's still wet. You can't use it. So you're going to put the clay pot in the kiln, in the fire, to bake it.
Correct.
So that it's usable.
Yeah.
Similarly, fire in our body is called pith, which is a metabolic fire, the digestive fire, the transformative fire. It transforms the food you eat into digestive juices, into plasma, blood, bone marrow, muscles, adipose, tissues, teeth, nails, hair, sperm, egg. That transformative process is due to the presence of fire in our body. Without fire, we're as good as dead.
Yeah.
Right? Our body is dead at 0 degrees. So fire is very important for us to come alive. Okay? And now this fire is in the middle part of the body. Then what do you do with the pot that has been taken out of the fire? Can you use it immediately?
No, you cool it down.
Exactly. Now, air and space plays a role. Similarly, in our body, air and space is responsible for movement.
Yeah.
Now, without movement, without air and space, we're as good as a vegetable. Right? We have a body, we have a digestive fire, but if we can't move, we're as good as a vegetable. Right? Air and space is responsible for all kinds of movements, the blood circulation, the food moving from the stomach to the intestines, from the intestine to the colon, the waste getting evacuated from the body, our ability to blink, our ability for our lungs to contract and expand, for us to inhale and exhale, and even the movement of thoughts is due to the presence of air and space. Right? That's why monks and sages usually go up to mountaintops where the air and space is thin and vata is more dominant. And that's where they spend time pursuing their spiritual practices, because it's very easy to pursue it.
Yeah, I meditate and I kind of understand the importance of breath, because when you're breathing that much, if the air is thick, it's the worst thing, right? So if you the higher you go, your meditation, the way you go inwards is almost instant. Like you're there.
You just snap into it.
You snap into it,
right? And the thick air is what we're breathing in the cities right now, full of chaos, full of noise. Even the air has noise, right? We're constantly breathing in everybody's stress, everybody's pollutants, toxins, allergens. In the mountains, when the air is thin, the oxygenation level or the oxidization of your organs also slows down. Thus improving the telomere length, thus improving your longevity, your lifespan. Your heart rate comes down, which means you live longer. When your heart rate goes up, it means you live less, like dogs. Like they have a very strong heart rate. Their heart beats really fast.
They breathe so aggressively that's why their lifespan is shorter.
Exactly.
I know there was this comparison where they said, why do dogs live so less and why do turtles live so much? So apparently turtles have very few breaths in a day as opposed to dogs. And then somewhere in between that spectrum is human beings on a day-to-day basis with their breath.
The same applies to blue whales, elephants. They can hold their breath really long. Dogs expend their life very quickly. They spend it very quickly.
Yeah, because they're constantly exhaling aggressively, inhaling and exhaling aggressively.
That's why between running or going to the gym versus meditating or doing yoga, your longevity is better when you're doing yoga and meditation, because you're reducing your heart rate.
You're slowing it down.
And number of breaths per minute. You're not expelling too much of your energy.
Yeah. Wow. That's so interesting. Okay, so to summarize, the 3 doshas is earth and water, which is
kapha.
It's kapha. Okay. And then you go into more fire, which is kind of pitta, right? And the air and space, which is vata. Okay, understood. Okay.
So these are the 3 basic biological building blocks that your body is made of. So kapha is the gross body, pitta is the digestive fire and the transformative fire, and vata is all the movements that you have inside your body. Right? Now, each biological building block, like, if I can just add a little more, also connects to health and disease. For example, kapha, earth and water, when it's dominant, it causes more mucus, more water retention, more heaviness in the body, which then leads to cold, cough, sinus, allergies, asthma, hay fever, lung congestion, bronchitis in the top part of the body, obesity, heaviness, weight gain, cholesterol, diabetes, hypothyroidism, heart-related disorders. All the heavy diseases are associated with kapha.
Oh my God.
Okay. It took me also some time, to wrap around the science. Like, how can it be so precise? So if you're a kapha dominant body type, you have an inclination towards the diseases. And when you know what your unique biological blueprint is, you can actually design your diet in advance to prevent these disorders.
And it is fully preventable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. All of us can prevent our diseases. All of us can live a long, healthy life. Unfortunately, what has happened right now with modern science, our lifespan is like 80, 90, 100 years. But our health span is 20, 30 years, even less now.
That's crazy.
So we spend most of our life suffering. Like I meet young kids with diseases nowadays.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, the amount of reports that you see of adults in their 30s and 40s getting heart attacks.
Yeah.
And that there's been a significant spike in that number in the past decade as opposed to any time before.
And diabetes and autism has spiked up in children less than 10 years old. Diabetes has actually become a very common disorder, type 2 diabetes in children, also because we've lost discipline in the way we eat. We're eating any time of the day, any time of the night, repeatedly with not enough gap for the stomach to digest. And now you're putting a lot of pressure on your liver, on your gallbladder, on your pancreas, on your intestines. They're all overloaded, overworked, and thus disease. Most of the diseases begins here, near the gut.
Near the gut. Right.
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's go that one step further. What is your gut health?
Yeah.
And how is overall health known to be related to the quality and health of your gut? A lot of people say that how healthy you are depends upon your gut health. And
absolutely.
So let's break that process down. What is the gut?
So, the gut is something that we've just recently understood. Back in the day when we were in school, we knew what the stomach is, small intestine, large intestine, colon, and all of these organs in a very separated manner.
Yeah.
Like a dissected manner. The gut is basically where the food passes after digestion.
Okay.
So everything below the stomach is actually part of the gut, technically.
Right.
The small intestine, large intestine, the colon, the liver, gallbladder, pancreas. Of course, the liver is right next to the stomach, right? So it's primarily made of the small, large intestine and the colon. But some scientists say that the gut includes everything from the mouth to the colon because even the mouth contributes to the digestion process.
Yeah.
So the mouth, esophagus, stomach, small, large intestine, colon, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, even your appendix contributes to your digestive process. So everything that contributes to the digestion is called the gut in modern science. And the gut is basically where food passes after digestion below the stomach, where absorption and assimilation of nutrients happens. So that is the fuel engine of your body. That's the kitchen of your house. This is the most important part of the body. Because without this, the rest of the organs will not have fuel, not have nutrients to survive. All the organs depend on the gut for survival.
This is where basically the good stuff is taken into your body. The nutrients, the absorption,
Yes.
Okay, understood.
There are like thousands of bloodstreams attached to your gut. And the gut is a very porous organ, right? It's not made of brick or steel. It's a very porous organ. It allows the nutrients to pass through its walls into the bloodstreams that are attached. And this is being transported to all the organs. Now, unfortunately, because of our unhealthy lifestyles, the gap between the gut walls or the gut cells have become loose. They've become big. And it has caused what is called a leaky gut syndrome, when not just the nutrients, even the undigested food, heavy metals, toxins, and unhealthy bacteria, or even the healthy bacteria are getting leaked into the bloodstream.
Oh my God.
And that begins the cycle of gut health issues.
Right. Okay, so we're going to put a photo up here of the gut so people have context to what you've just said. Right. So this is how the overall health of us as human beings is actually related to gut health and how firm it is, how the looseness that you just mentioned is avoided in effect, right? I'm trying to understand. Okay, cool. So to the next step, right? How do you identify whether your gut health is good or bad?
Okay, so visualize this. The gut wall, your gut is made of 22 feet long small intestine, 6 feet long large intestine. So 28 feet approximately is what a healthy adult has. And in this gut, you have trillions of bacteria. Trillions, okay? We can't even put a count to it. And that's 1 kilogram of bacteria in a human being. 1 kilogram of bacteria, if we weight it. 85% is good, 15% is bad. That's an acceptable ratio.
Correct.
When you eat food, you have to decide whether you're feeding your good bacteria or your bad bacteria. When you eat sugary treats, Coke and all these aerated drinks or cakes and pastries or refined foods, you're feeding your bad bacteria, then they start becoming more dormant. And versus eating healthy food that feeds your good bacteria. When the bad bacteria becomes dormant, it starts creating a lot of gut health issues like releasing carbon dioxide, methane, gases, bloating, flatulence, indigestion. You feel a lot of discomfort, cramps. Sometimes it also creates a lot of unhealthy cravings because of the presence of worms in our gut. They start peeing inside of us. They start forcing you to eat unhealthy foods because that's what they survive on. They thrive on. So your cravings are also controlled by the gut. When you start experiencing symptoms like gastrointestinal disorders, gynecological disorders, neurological disorders, bronchial diseases, skin diseases, musculoskeletal diseases, all of them have originated from the gut. When you're in a state of disease, it means you're not at ease. It means your digestion has been compromised.
Yeah.
It means your gut health is not good. Everything begins with the gut. Like 90% of the diseases are associated with an unhealthy colon. Now, this is a research that has been done by Harvard, Stanford, Atlanta, Georgia, Maryland universities. All of them have come to the conclusion that 90% of the diseases are caused due to an unhealthy colon. And majority of the diseases are because of a leaky gut syndrome of the small and large intestine. The nutrients and the undigested food, everything is getting leaked and getting recirculated back to your other organs like your heart, liver, kidney, brain, intestine. You start experiencing brain fog, lack of coordination, lack of concentration, mood swings, irritability, anxiety, depression. Your bronchial health gets affected, cold, cough, sinus, because there's an accumulation of mucus now, which is a breeding ground.
Yeah.
Your tummy area is affected. Your bone health is getting affected because you're losing a lot of nutrients. Your skin is starting to show the damages of the gut because the toxins are surfacing towards the skin, hoping to come out through the pores in the form of sweat. The body is deliberately trying to push them towards the surface of the skin. And then they trigger psoriasis, eczema, rosacea, urticaria and such. So your gut impacts your skin, your hair, your neurological health, and even your mental, emotional health.
Of course.
So it's like the fuel engine of your car.
Yeah. So keeping one's gut healthy should be placed at a very high priority in our everyday lives, right?
Absolutely.
How does one begin to do that?
Okay, so we always fix what we can see, the physical health. And then we work on mental and emotional health and spiritual and energetic health, which is a byproduct of being physically healthy.
Correct.
Right? When I say physically healthy, I'm not, I'm not dismissing those who are emaciated or have amputee limbs. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about healthy digestion. Okay. So we have to make sure that we're able to digest food completely, absorb and assimilate the nutrients, and we're eliminating waste. So focus on elimination first. Are you eliminating waste on a daily basis? When you wake up, are you able to go to the washroom? Are you able to eliminate waste within 2 to 3 minutes? That's a sign of good gut health.
Okay.
That means the food has fully got digested, absorbed, assimilated, and the waste has got ready for elimination and it has come out. If the waste hasn't come out of your system, it will stay inside and start leaking into your bloodstream and get reabsorbed back by the body. That's the first sign you need to look out for. Your colon health must be 100%. No constipation symptoms, diarrhea, IBS, or even incomplete evacuation of waste. That's also a sign of constipation. That's number one. Number two, is your digestion good? Are you having intolerances towards certain kinds of foods? Like, people have developed gluten intolerance, lactose intolerance. These are signs that you need to fix immediately, okay? 3 is allergies. And then 4 is, are you experiencing any kind of discomfort like bloating, gas, flatulence, acidity, reflux? You need to fix that. So how can we start fixing that? Number one, I speak about it in my book, how to heal your gut and thus mind and emotions. Number one is circadian rhythm.
Number one is?
Circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm.
Circadian rhythm is something which, has become very prominent now. Okay. It's called Dinacharya in Ayurveda. In a very loose translation. It's not an accurate translation. Circadian rhythm basically means your body has an internal clock and Mother Nature has a clock. We need to sync our clock with Mother Nature. Okay. It's like plugging back into Mother Nature. Like, how do you charge your phone? You plug it.
Correct.
Okay. And then you charge your phone. So you need to plug back into nature. You need to rise with the sun, set with the sun, and every organ in your body has a specific timing. For example, 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is called the Vata clock in Ayurveda. This is a time when air and space is more dominant in nature. This is when your mental faculties are the sharpest. This is a time for you to wake up, meditate,
2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
2 a.m. to 6 a.m. It's called the Brahma Muhurat also, loosely translated in Sanskrit. Brahma Muhurat is about 1 hour, 48 minutes before sunrise, right? So 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is when the mental faculties are the sharpest. If you're trying to manifest anything in life, the best time to do it is between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m.
Wow.
And in fact, just on the way here, I was talking to my manager, checking on her studies. And I said, what time do you wake up and study? She said 6. I said, unless you wake up at 2 o'clock, 3, 4, 5, you're not going to ace your subject. If you really want to be the best of it, it happens only between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. The mental faculties are so sharp. There are no distractions. Your body is done with the process of digestion, absorption, assimilation, and it is ready for elimination. 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. you wake up. Wash yourself with some cold water if you can. Wear some white clothes. Find a nice clean spot to sit and meditate. Empty your canvas here. You need to have an empty canvas before you fill your life with some color, right? You must clean up the mind. Just like how you clean up your kitchen and your garbage, get rid of the garbage here. Start writing down and journaling everything that's bothering you. You don't want it, okay? Once you start journaling, the brain says, oh, she's written it down. I don't have to remember it. So you trick the brain into letting go. You write it down, discard it. Then you start working on gratitude. You start experiencing gratitude at a physical, mental, and emotional level. Because then your body is vibrating at the highest possible vibrational frequency, which is gratitude and love.
It's an elevated emotion, basically.
Absolutely.
When you have
and at
gratitude.
that point in time, everything feels good.
Yeah.
You're suddenly grateful for everything. Every little thing, like, oh my God, I have water to drink today. Like, good, clean water. My, chef turned up on time. Or I have coffee, when I got up. You start feeling grateful for everything, and the universe rewards you with more things to be grateful for. And then you sit and manifest what you want. Long-term strategies are best done between 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. There's no traffic in the universe at that time.
It's slow.
So when you communicate with the universe at that point in time, the universe can actually hear you. Otherwise, throughout the day, there's so much chaos, there's so much noise. So 2 a.m. to 6 a.m. is a great time for you to fix your mental growth. And then 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. is the kapha clock, the nourishing time for the body. Now, between 5 to 7 a.m., by the way, stepping a little back, is when the colon is most active. So if you wake up 45 minutes before sunrise and sit upright, even if you're not doing anything, just close your eyes and sit upright. Sitting upright allows the body to eliminate waste. That itself will create natural bowel movements. You will end up rushing to the washroom. The best cure for constipation is waking up 45 minutes before sunrise. The body is able to better eliminate waste. Those who wake up late at 9 and 10 usually have colon health issues. This is like a very abstract way of linking it. They usually experience constipation, incomplete evacuation of waste, then their appetite is affected, then the moods are affected, the energy levels are affected, productivity levels are affected, everything gets affected. Because you've not evacuated waste, there's no room for new food to go in. And that waste is rotting, putrefying, releasing gases and such diseases. Right. Which is why everybody says wake up at 5 a.m. So this circadian rhythm, it's a very detailed clock, and then you have 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. to nourish yourself, exercise, 10 a.m. to 2 p.m., highest productivity level, do all your work then. Then 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. is a time for creativity, problem solving, team meetings. 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. is time to slow down, socialize, have the last meal of the day, a small meal just before sunset. And 10 p.m. you need to be in bed. 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. is when the liver becomes active and starts actively detoxifying the body. When you miss that 4-hour clock, 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., you wake up feeling more sluggish and tired, and that continues to build up. And eventually the body will crash one day and refuse to get up, or, it'll be diseased or exhausted.
Right.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
So the first step is aligning to Mother Nature.
So everything that you mentioned, it's kind of like a very strict guideline, right? Like, is it practical is a question that I would pose to you, because it's kind of not practical for a lot of people to be in bed by 10 p.m., for example, right? Like by the time, say you work at a 9 to 6 job, by the time you get home in traffic, what the traffic situation is, it's like 7:38. Then you get to dinner. Then you kind of socialize, be with your family, I don't know, play games, go out, maybe go out for a meal. It's not necessarily practical to get into bed by 10. Similar emotion for the 2 to
6
a.m. clock, right? Like it's I would like to believe that it could happen if you're working from home, or if you're, actually I don't think that 2 to 6 a.m. block is something that most people would find feasible, right? Like I wake up relatively early, and most people think that I wake up very early. I wake up at 6:30.
Right.
Which is when I've already crossed that window. So let's backtrack a little bit. Now we have the loose understanding of what it means throughout the day to have these time slots. What is the practical version? Is there a practical version that people can apply to their everyday lives? Those who are going to work, those who have hectic lifestyles, those who have just long hours, right, in the day. How do we incorporate that in a practical way in our life?
So, if you're not able to sync your clock to the Ayurvedic energy clock, this is called the Ayurvedic energy clock. If you want to tap into the highest levels of energies and productivity levels of your body, we sync to this clock, which is what monks and sages do.
Right.
They're completely synced and disciplined and aligned to this clock. 2 a.m. they're up, or 3 a.m. or 4 a.m. they're up. 5 is the latest, they wouldn't be asleep beyond 5, and they're in bed by 10, 11 max, If you're not able to do that, at least focus on the food on your plate, okay? At least follow the position of the sun. Now, this is how it is. The circadian rhythm directly corresponds to the position of the sun. The sun rises, your metabolic fire in the body starts rising. At least make sure to wake up with the sun 6, 6:30, 7 latest.
Okay.
Do not sleep beyond that. If you're someone who wakes up at 8, try to push yourself to wake up at 7:45, then 7:30, then 7:15. Build small habits. It takes about 66 days to build one habit. So it's okay, don't be hard on yourself, but try challenging yourself every day to be a better version of yourself from the previous day. When you wake up, the metabolic fire starts rising. Start syncing your food on the plate to the position of the sun. In the morning, start with liquids first. Warm water. You can add some ghee to it if you have constipation. Clarified butter. You can add some lemon, cinnamon, and ginger if you have a very weak metabolic fire. You want to lose weight. You want to burn fat. You can add sabja seeds if you have very high metabolic fire and burning sensation, right? Which is sweet basil seeds. So you add some condiment to the water. Make sure to start your day with 200 ml warm water. That will kickstart your gut health. That will kickstart your digestive health because it helps it cleansing it. You first take the trash out and then you start cooking new food. Otherwise, the whole kitchen is going to reek, right? So you cleanse your GI tract all the way up to the colon. And then the second thing you can have is probably maybe a vegetable juice if you're allowed to have by your doctor. Usually we don't recommend more than 3 weeks. A cold pressed juice you could have. And then you can have some fruits and nuts. So slowly you're building up your digestive fire. You started with liquids. Then you started with the vegetable juice, which is thicker in viscosity. And then you had some stewed fruits or raw fruits and some nuts. And then you have a breakfast only if you're hungry. Otherwise, you get to work, your energy level starts building up. In fact, if you see some of the best tennis players in the world, they eat very light up to 12 o'clock. They don't touch solid food till 12 in the afternoon.
Wow.
They literally live on fruits, Novak.
And this is a doable habit. Like,
Absolutely.
I think everybody can do it. Like, you wake up, have warm water.
Yeah.
And it makes logical sense. It's like you're waking up, because I know that even for me, I struggle with this because as soon as I wake up, I'm hungry.
Yeah.
So maybe it's time to kind of recalibrate that and ease into the process. So,
Yeah.
I mean, if you go from liquid to you go to juice and then you go to fruit, it's not directly solid. So
Exactly.
it's actually giving your body that freedom to get used to the sensation of food once
Yeah.
it wakes up.
See, your gut is like a child, like a baby. How would you wake up a baby? You don't rush the baby and give a 20 kg bag and say, go to school, right? You wake up the baby with love, with kindness, you bathe the child, you nourish the child, you love and hug and kiss the child, and then you send them off to school. The same with your gut health. You wake it up slowly. Start with liquids first, then semi-solids, and then something solid.
Correct.
The metabolic fire starts building between 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. This is when the sun is at the peak.
Yeah.
Your metabolic fire is also at the peak, So your circadian rhythm is such that the metabolic fire directly corresponds to the position of the sun. This is the time for you to have the biggest meal of the day.
Okay.
Now, the English say that have a big breakfast.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was never part of the Indian culture. In Indian culture, we never had breakfast. We had only 2 meals a day. It was a big brunch at around, say, maybe 11, 12, and then a big dinner at around 5 or 6.
Okay.
2 meals a day is norm. Okay. So in yoga, we say someone who eats 1 meal a day is a yogi who's spending time on spiritual practices. Someone who eats 2 meals a day is a bhogi who enjoys the taste of food. And someone who eats 3 meals a day is a rogi, diseased. Because you're not giving your digestive health enough time to digest, absorb, and assimilate the nutrients. The semi-digested food, and now you're dumping more fresh food. Then there is another semi-digested food getting mixed with the fresh food and releasing gases and bloat, and you're always feeling heavy, like your gut is constantly working 24/7 now.
I think a lot of people are going to feel like they belong to the third category. I can see a few reactions in the back being like, oh my God. Because even I'm like, I sometimes eat like 4 times a day because I'm just, you're hungry, you're snacking in between 2 meals. So I sometimes eat four meals a day. I'm like snacking in between lunch and dinner, and I need tea, and and I don't wake my body up. Sometimes I'm like really hungry as soon as I wake up and I just need to eat breakfast. But wow, that was a jolt. I think there's a little bit of realigning to do in my life.
Listen, I started the way you are feeling right now. Let me tell you something. I probably had one of the worst gut health ever in my family. I had many diseases as a child, many surgeries before I turned 18 years old. And I decided to fix it. And unknowingly, I stumbled upon this whole science of gut health. So back in the day, I couldn't eat enough in one meal. Probably had bulimia, probably had anorexia, God knows, it was undiagnosed. I just couldn't eat in one meal. It would probably be half a roti, that's it, for breakfast.
Oh my God.
Or half a roti for lunch, that was max. So I would end up eating every 2 hours to give my body some energy. That meant your digestion, absorption, and assimilation is also weak.
But if you're eating so less, doesn't it get absorbed faster? Because a lot of people suggest that eat every 2 hours.
They do that in the beginning.
Yeah.
To help you stimulate your metabolic fire. Your metabolic fire is very low, very weak. So what do you do when the campfires become very weak? You start feeding it dry leaves every few seconds till the fire goes up. And then after that, you put one big log of wood and then you stay quiet. You don't keep feeding the fire. So initially, when you go to a doctor or a nutritionist who understands the concept of metabolic fire and pith, if your metabolic fire is weak, they'll give you 4 to 5 meals a day to rev it up. Once it gets up, then they'll bring it down to 3 meals and then 2 meals. That is enough, to be honest. Like, I had my first meal at 10 in the morning, and I'm probably supposed to have a second meal at around 6 o'clock, but I missed the clock today. So I'm going to just end up with a bowl of soup at night because I don't want to have solid food after sunset, right? But my body functions perfectly well now because of this new cycle. And in fact, even if I don't work out for days together, which is not a good advice, everybody should work out. But for some reason, because of all the travel and the book tour and everything, I haven't had opportunity to work out for a whole month. But my BMI has not shifted even 100 grams.
And you've checked that? Yeah.
My BMI, my body weight, my muscle mass index. And despite the lack of exercise, I still am muscular. I still am athletic. I still have lean muscles on me. Right? That's because I'm giving my gut enough time to digest, absorb, assimilate. And after the gut is done with the digestion process, it starts focusing on its main job, which is to act like the second brain. The gut is directly connected to your brain through a neurosis that sends messages every micromillion seconds. So the gut and the brain have a husband-wife relationship. They're like a partnership. Okay? They work together to control the whole body and heal the whole body. Now, when the gut is done with the job of digesting, it is free to communicate with the brain in a healthy way. So it sends multiple messages per second.
Wow.
While we click our finger, there's like 20 messages that's gone from my gut to my brain.
Yeah. It's why they say that my gut is telling me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because your intuition comes from the gut.
Wow. Okay.
And not just that. Here's the interesting thing. Your emotions are stored in the gut. When you feel anxious, scared, excited, happy, nervous, butterflies fluttering, where do you feel it?
And
you feel it in the gut.
Yeah.
You feel the runs to the bathroom when you're nervous. You feel it in the gut. Yeah. Memories are also stored in the gut. How do you store memories? In the form of experiences. Now, say you remember your grandmother and you start salivating not because she was yummy, but because you're remembering everything she made for you.
Yeah.
Like, pickle and parathas and lassi. Because that's how you remember her. Your experiences are stored in the form of smell, taste, sound. And your gut starts responding to that memory by creating that craving. That salivating process starts and you start craving all the foods that your grandmother made. Right? Your emotions are stored there. Memories are stored here. Even your intuition comes from the gut. When your gut is clean, when your gut is empty, that's when your brain is at the sharpest.
Wow.
Okay, stay hungry, stay foolish.
Yeah.
An empty gut, empty stomach actually allows you to ideate better, create better, become more creative, and be fully available. Have you noticed how sluggish you feel immediately after a big lunch?
Yeah.
You're not able to ideate. You're not able to create.
You just want to nap. You want to be horizontal. You don't want too much of brain activity. You want to just slow down.
Because the body is focusing on digestion right now. The brain, the gut, everything is focusing on digestion. All the blood is rushing towards your gut to digest the food, to increase the heat, to break down the molecules, to create nutrients, to absorb and assimilate. There's a massive activity happening here.
Wow.
The brain is not available. That's why
because
a lot
it's
of
all
people,
the focus is on the digestion and trying to kind of get rid of this waste in your body.
Not just waste, I would say. It's focused on quickly digesting that food, because digesting the food is a very complex process.
Yeah.
Cooking food is one such science. Digesting food is an entirely different science, which I speak about, the food chemistry, understanding which combinations of foods to put inside your tummy, which not to put, because there are some combinations that are poisonous, which people don't seem to realize.
Give me an example.
Something as simple as, your honey-coated cereals.
Yeah.
Honey-coated Cheerios and all of that, which is, by the way, is banned in Japan now because it's carcinogenic, is poisonous. Because honey, when heated, releases a chemical called hydroxymethyl furfural, which can create a 50% mortality rate in rats, 100% mortality rate in honeybees. Even honeybees cannot eat heated honey. They will immediately die, 100% mortality rate. And it can cause nervous debility, neurological disorders, and even paralysis in the rats. So are we going to wait for human trials to figure out what it does to human beings?
Yeah.
Of course it impacts us. And Ayurveda said it thousands of years ago that heated honey is toxic, poisonous. It blocks your shrotas and channels because it solidifies, hardens. and it gets stuck in the intestines, in your gut, and even multiple panchakarma treatments cannot cleanse your body of the ill effects of heated honey. That's number one. Number two, the most common mistake that all of us make, mixing dairy with fruits.
Yeah, a lot of people have told me that because I have like strawberry milkshake, banana milkshake, and I thrive on all of these things. And I think I'm being super healthy in life because there's a fruit in there, some inkling of a fruit. I've been told this.
Yeah, strawberry and milk is probably one of the most toxic combinations. I'm so sorry to break it to you. But you know what? Have a big bowl of strawberries, put some chocolate on it if you want, like hot chocolate or, dark chocolate without milk. The problem with milk and fruits is...
Even cream?
Cream also doesn't agree with strawberries. Even I, for the longest time, loved strawberry cream. And now just the sight of it makes me want to run away. Like, I cannot touch it. When you know what it is doing, you will not put it in your mouth again. Like, just to break it to you, I don't want to take away a strawberry milkshake, but it's time to take it away. Okay? Milk and dairy products, milk, yogurt, buttermilk, paneer, cheese, have an acid called lactic acid, which is native to dairy products from cow or buffalo or whatever, you source it from, even camel milk or sheep milk. Fruits have active acids. Have you seen when you squeeze a lemon in a glass of milk, how the milk breaks?
It curdles, yeah, immediately.
It curdles. Would you want that to happen inside your tummy? Would you drink a glass of milk and a lemonade over it?
No.
It's going to hurt very bad.
Yeah.
If the curdling process happens in the tummy, it breaks your stomach from inside. It can cause fissures. It can cause bleeding, internal bleeding, ulcers. It can cause a whole lot of gut health issues and even leak into your bloodstream and make your blood toxic and trigger skin disorders again. Now, skin diseases have been directly linked to the wrong combination of fruits and milk. Fruits have active acids, which you cannot see with the naked eye, but you can see lemon breaking milk, just like that. Apples, your strawberries, cherries, berries, guava, all fruits, pineapples have active acids in it, like, citric acid, fumaric acid, malic acid, absorbic acid, tartaric acid. These are the different kinds of fruit acids. Melons, in fact, have the maximum number of acids in them. It doesn't agree with anything. It doesn't even agree with other fruits. So the rule with fruit is eat it alone or leave it alone. Okay? Eat the fruit by itself. You can only mix it with nuts because nuts and fruits come from the same family. Nuts is basically dehydrated fruits. Yeah. Fruits and nuts are the only thing that can be had together. And nuts will also help in reducing or slowing down the glucose spike that comes from fruits, right? The fructose. And when you eat fruit on an empty stomach with the nuts or without the nuts, it feeds a good bacteria in your gut. Your gut starts flourishing. When your gut flora enhances, your mental, emotional health, your physical health, immunity, metabolism, everything goes up. When you mix fruit with dairy products, like a lot of people also do this, fruit flavored yogurt. It's probably the worst thing I've seen. And I know a lot of, brands are going big on it. Yeah. I'm sorry, I am dead against it. The strawberry flavored yogurt, there's
raspberry, there's blueberry.
Oh, God.
I eat all of them.
Well, I think in a few days you'll stop. Okay. Eventually your subconscious mind, which is absorbing all the information while we speak, will start speaking to you when you're about to reach out for it. Like it will eventually not have a craving for it. When naturally the craving goes away, you will stop eating it. You need to address the craving, right? Instead of trying to discipline yourself in a very harsh way. And the craving goes away with knowledge. The minute you have knowledge, you don't touch it.
Yeah.
So dairy with fruit is forbidden. Okay. Heated honey is forbidden. Number 3 is a mistake that all of us did, eating a lot of raw salads.
Yeah.
Okay. We think it's healthy. But unfortunately, leafy greens, especially like, baby spinach and rocket and kale and collard greens, they're also home to parasites. They're also home to tapeworms and tapeworm eggs, which you can't see with the naked eye. E. coli, which is a very deadly disease that happens when you have uncooked food. And I'm actually dealing with patients with E. coli. It's so scary, right? And candida and SIBO and parasital overgrowth. It is so heartbreaking and scary. And I asked them, did you eat a lot of raw salads? They're like, oh, every single day. Okay. Now, eating raw greens in an uncooked manner has actually been linked with other diseases like cysticercosis, when the tapeworms and the tapeworm eggs enter our system, because you can't just wash it away. You need to blanch it in hot water. You need to boil it, steam it, cook it to kill those tapeworm eggs.
So you basically need to, in some format, take it from raw to semi, like steamed or boiled, just a very basic.
Yeah. Everything in nature is best in the cooked form. Okay. Now, even apples, we eat fruits raw. But for some people, raw apples causes burping, bloating, and constipation. They can't digest raw apples. When you stew it, the digestion is top notch and the constipation is completely got eliminated. Correct. Stewed apples with some cinnamon, clove, and pepper has much more health benefits than a raw apple. tomatoes in the raw form is usually not advised in Ayurveda, but when you cook tomato, it releases a chemical called lycopene, which has cancer-fighting properties. You're enhancing the nutrients and the bioavailability of nutrients. But when you eat raw, understand that we're not cows. Cows have 40,000 jaw movements per day. They eat grass all day. They chew their food for 8 hours. They have 4 parts to their stomach. They bring the food back into the mouth and chew it twice all over again. We can't do that. We chew for barely 40 to 60 minutes per day, right? So raw greens is not easy for us to digest. Instead, when you cook the greens and eat it, the bioavailability of nutrients is better. And there's an argument that you might lose some nutrients because you're cooking. But it's better to lose some nutrients than to not be able to digest it at all. Because if you can't digest it, it's of no use to your body.
Yeah.
So simple tricks like that, honey, fruits, greens. Now, the only 2 vegetables that can be eaten raw safely is carrot and cucumber.
Okay.
Everything else is best boiled, steamed, blanched. And especially your leafy greens, you must blanch it to get rid of oxalates, especially in spinach, which has been linked with kidney stones. A lot of people have started going big on spinach juice and spinach smoothies.
I was just going to ask you, like, what if you're making like a healthy vegetable juice? Then what?
So in the vegetable juices, these are the only 5 recipes that I approve of. Number 1 is ashgard. Okay, it's called the petha in Hindi, the green pumpkin. It's very good for cleaning up the intestines. It has a detoxifying quality about it. It pulls toxins out of your system. But you don't overdo it because it reduces your body temperature and can cause cold and cough. So it's not for everyone. Number 2 is celery. To reduce the bitterness, you can add some cucumber. Cucumber is one of the most compatible fruits that we have out there. It's used as a vegetable in the culinary world, right? So you can have celery with cucumber. Then you can have cilantro with cucumber. It's very good for cleansing the kidneys. It's coriander. Then you can have banana stem juice. It's very good for dissolving kidney stones, gallbladder stones, fibroids, getting rid of worms in your intestines. It completely cleanses your lower part of the digestive health and makes you lose weight like crazy. And then you can have tender coconut water, right? So these are the few combinations. And carrot beetroot is something that I'm really a big fan of because it has betaine. Okay, and it helps in generating RBC and it helps in generating liver cells. The liver regenerates itself when you have beetroot in your diet. But because beetroot in the raw form is very heaty, so we take 70% carrot juice and mix it with 30% beetroot juice.
And then you can maybe add like coconut water in this to like give it a little bit.
Wouldn't.
You wouldn't?
No, because coconut water has multiple health benefits. It's as good as glucose, right? If someone is seriously injured in a jungle, you can introduce coconut water directly into the bloodstream.
Wow.
Okay, it's that potent and that's sterilized. The plant has digested it. The tree has digested the water from the nutrients and minerals from the earth and converted it into coconut water 20 feet above the ground. Look at the miracle that Mother Nature is. There's coconut water to drink, there's coconut meat to eat, and the coconut shell can be used for various purposes.
Yeah.
It's best to have coconut water separately.
Okay.
But if you have symptoms like, bloating or burping from coconut water, which some people do, then you can squeeze a little lemon in it. But it's best had by itself. Don't mix that with anything else.
Yeah.
And, carrot beetroot can be mixed with amla.
There's also apple, right?
Unfortunately, that's a combination I'm not a big fan of again. Carrot and beetroot are technically vegetables. Fruits and vegetables don't agree with each other. Fruits require only 3 hours in the body. 1 hour in the stomach, 1 hour in the small intestine, 1 hour in the large intestine. Vegetables require about 6 hours to get digested. 2 in the stomach, 2 in the small intestine, 2 in the large intestine. They have a lot of fiber. Fruits have a lot of acids. They're 2 different food groups. When you have fruit and vegetable together, the fruit interferes with the absorption and assimilation of vegetables and the vice versa happens. Sometimes, people have this oatmeal, for example, with fruits on the top. The fruit gets digested quickly. The oatmeal requires 6 hours to 18 hours. It pushes the undigested oatmeal into the small intestine, thus causing bloating and gases. Or the oatmeal keeps the digested fruit in the stomach longer than needed, and the fruit acids start reacting with the stomach acids, causing burning sensation, acidity, and reflux. Food science is so interesting. I've spent 6 years of my life researching it. And I can't tell you how rewarding this career has been, the 6 years. The number of patients I've seen reverse their diseases by just fixing the gut. This morning, I met a woman who I've never met before. She just did a 3-day gut workshop with me a year and a half ago. And she's reversed her daughter's eczema problem by simply avoiding all the wrong combinations of foods on her plate. It's as simple as that. Food science, food chemistry.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And we'll definitely get into that on a much larger level, maybe in another episode, because I don't think that we have that time.
By then, you'd have stopped your strawberry milkshakes.
Let's hope good sense prevails and my subconscious stings every time I'm craving it.
It will.
Okay. Let's now do this exercise, right? How does one figure out what their body type is basis the 3 doshas.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's have that, and we'll have some kind of visual so that people can better process it.
Yeah.
And akin to what body type you are, what's the best food that they can eat?
Okay.
Largely.
All right. A very simple approach to it. Now, there are 3 unique body types. Okay. You could be a kapha dominant, or a pitta dominant, or a vata dominant. It means you have all 3 biological building blocks in your body, but one building block is more dominant than the other 2.
Correct.
Now, if you're a kapha dominant body type, it's also called an endomorph, loosely translated in modern science. Again, it's not an exact translation. Endomorph for the kapha dominant body type is the thickest body type because it's earth and water dominant, which is the most gross, heavy of the 5 elements.
But how do I know that I'm that?
So if you have thick bones, good skin, good hair, you're naturally big, sturdy, thick bones, and you have a tendency to put on weight, struggle to lose weight. You're generally kind, compassionate. You don't like changes. You like your comfort zone. You're not very social. You like to stay at home and probably just eat pizza and watch TV on a Sunday. That's your idea of socializing. If you're someone who likes to keep to themselves, someone who's very kind, compassionate, like I said, and thick and struggles to lose weight, that's an endomorph body type, loosely translated.
Okay.
But finding your body type is like finding your blood type, right? It's fixed at the time of being conceived, your body type, and it doesn't change an entire lifetime, ever, right? So just like how you go to a hospital to find out what your blood type is, at least once in a lifetime, I encourage everybody to meet an Ayurvedic Vaidya who can touch your pulse and tell you what body type you are.
Yeah.
So that's something you can do. But you can also do a lot of these dosha quiz that is available on the internet. It's available on our website. You can simply go and answer about 30 different kinds of questions about your skin, bone, hair, digestion, metabolism, sleep, dream patterns, thirst levels and everything to understand which body type is dominant.
Okay, once you figure out that this is my
body type
and this is my dosha, what is the akin food that one eats?
So beginning with endomorph, which is a kapha dominant body type, the thickest body type that puts on weight easily, it's better for you to avoid sweet, sour, salty foods and eat foods that are bitter, astringent, and pungent. So what is sweet? Most of the fruits, that are high in sugar. What is sour? Lemon, tomato, tamarind, and such, and even fermented foods. What is salty? Obviously the excess salt in your diet, which leads to water retention. So you want to cut down the foods that leads to weight gain, and instead you want to have foods that are bitter, which helps in deworming the body and cleansing the body, astringent, which helps in tightening the body and the tissues and collagen, pungent, which helps in stimulating the metabolic fire, the pungent spicy foods. So you would have bitter foods like, say karela, spinach, celery, cilantro, curry leaves. All your leafy greens have a bitter flavor to it, right? You will have astringent foods like hummus or apples, berries, cherries, they tighten your tissues. Pungent spicy foods like capsicum, onion, garlic, radish. So that's an endomorph. The mesomorph, or the pitta dominant body type, is dominant in fire. They're a medium build, naturally athletic. They put on weight easily, they lose weight easily. You've had friends like that who put on 5 kgs quickly and lose 5 kgs within a few workouts, and you'll be like, oh my God. You'll be feeling like, how did they lose weight so quickly? That's the mesomorph body type. They fluctuate a lot in terms of their weight. And I usually am that type, right? Mesomorph is fire dominant. So you want to stay away from foods that are fiery in nature, oily foods, spicy foods, pungent foods, sour foods, salty foods. Instead, you want to load up on foods that are sweet in taste to temper the fire down, that are bitter, that helps in keeping the body clean, and astringent, again, to tighten the tissue so that you don't fluctuate in weight. You want to stay away from the other food groups. Then comes the ectomorph, the thinnest body type. Okay, they struggle to put on weight, they lose weight very quickly, but they have a very weak digestive health. So they could be skinny, size 0, but they'll always have this little bulge near the belly, which is a sign of indigestion. And they have thin bones, dried up skin, dried up frizzy hair. They're usually very creative. They usually make great artists, by the way. Musicians, dancers, thinnest body type, and even athletes. Vata should stay away from the exact opposite of what kapha is eating.
Yeah.
Because they're the exact opposite body types. So Vata should eat all the sweet, sour, salty foods and avoid the bitter, astringent, pungent. Bitter foods includes coffee, and Vata is addicted to coffee.
Yeah.
Just like an alcoholic is addicted to alcohol, a Vata is addicted to all the foods that's not good for them, right? So 3 people go to the restaurant, a kapha, pitta, and a vata. Whatever the kapha orders should give it to the vata, and whatever the vata orders should, swap with the kapha.
The plates, yeah.
That's all they have to do, because the kapha loves carbs and they shouldn't eat carbs. They should have half plate veggies, quarter plate carbs, quarter plate protein. The Vata should have the exact opposite. Half plate carbs, quarter plate protein, quarter plate veggies. And the Pitta who's in the middle gets equal portions of everything.
Everything, right. Understood. Okay.
It's such a simple thing. And then you have the dual body types and the tridoshic body types. So it makes 7 body types altogether. But such a deep science. We're literally just scratching the surface.
Yeah, but I hope this intrigues people to at least want to learn more, right? Like where do I fit in the larger context of these doshas? I mean, I vaguely know, but very super, super interesting. Another interesting question I have is, how does stress affect gut health? Is there a correlation at all?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Your GI tract is extremely sensitive to emotions and stress. When you're stressed mentally, you're having anxiety or stress, you're overthinking, that's another disease that people have got nowadays. Your gut cannot focus on digestion because your gut is not able to communicate with the brain. You know, the connection has been broken between the husband and wife or between the two business partners in the business. What happens to the business? It starts suffering.
It collapses, yeah.
That's exactly what's happening. So when there is stress in the mind, your gut is not able to digest food. It starts leading to more indigestion issues, bloating, gas, flatulence. It reduces your energy levels, your productivity levels, your concentration, coordination, focus. All of that gets impacted when there is stress. So it becomes cyclical. And then your weak gut health affects your mind, and your mind continues to affect your gut.
Yeah.
So it's like a 1:1 relationship, the mind and body. That's exactly what happens between the brain and the gut as well.
So the stress does have an implication.
100%.
Right. Okay. Let's dive deeper into food habits. In Ayurveda, food is divided into 3 different parts, right? What are those 3 groups, and how do they influence our physical and mental well-being?
The food pyramid that I speak about, it's a comparison or a marriage between Ayurveda and modern science.
Okay.
I speak about the food pyramid where 50% of your diet must be fresh fruits and vegetables. Fresh fruits for all the vitamins and nutrients and minerals that you can get, and vegetables for all the fiber and again the micro and the macronutrients. You get all your nutrition from this. And 30% of your diet is carbs and proteins. So it's your rice, lentils, legumes, beans, pulses.
Correct.
The remaining 20% of your diet is condiments, spices. Of course, we're not talking about water here. Water is compulsory for everyone. It's your condiments, it's your spices. Now, in this food pyramid, I follow the concept or the principle of plants land based on what is happening in the blue zone, where people live beyond 100 years, in Japan and in Spain and many countries. Plant slant is something that is advisable even in Ayurveda, when 95% of your diet is plant-based and only 5% of your diet is based on animal-based products. It's derived from animal-based products. So, if you're a vegetarian, you can have milk, yogurt, buttermilk, paneer, cheese. If you're a vegan, you can just get that from almond milk, coconut milk, and oat milk. And meat is something that is advised in Ayurveda, but I don't advise it anymore, considering how commercial this industry is. Animals get cancer, plants don't get cancer.
Yeah.
And when you consume animals with cancer, blood pressure, diabetes, hypertension, mania, mental health issues, and the cortisol that they release during slaughter, where does it go? It goes inside your body.
Yeah.
And we're already so stressed.
That just adds to it. Yeah.
Yeah, it just makes it worse.
So what is your take on the 3 food groups that I initially asked you?
So the 3 food groups or the 3 states of mind that we speak about is Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas. Sattva is a state of mind where the mind is kind, compassionate, forgiving, loving, empathetic, sympathetic, and it's expanding spiritual practices. That also comes from the food we eat. So the sattvic diet that promotes Sattva or sattvic emotions are basically your fruits, your vegetables, the sun foods.
Yeah.
Okay, that grow above the ground, that absorb a lot of sun energy. And it's also your grains, legumes, lentils, nuts and seeds, and some amount of dairy is also sattvic. Not the yogurt though, which is fermented. Yogurt is considered one of the heaviest foods in Ayurveda. Then you have Rajas, the quality of action. Rajas or Rajasic qualities is basically your ambition, your drive towards life, your desire for materialistic things, leadership qualities. This is what the Rajas ate. It's called Rajasic for that reason. Now, Rajasic diet comprises of all the heaty foods that increases your energy level. It could be your capsicum, it could be your radish, it could be your aubergine, it could be your cinnamon, cardamom, clove, grated ginger, pepper, star anise, all the heaty spices comes under Rajasic. Then you have Tamas, a state of mind which is inertia, rest, or even gluttony or lethargy, right? We all need rest. Tamas happens when we go to sleep at night. But Tamasic diet fuels tamas. So what is Tamasic diet? Meat, seafood, eggs, and even yogurt comes under tamas. And because it's fermented, it has active bacteria that's constantly multiplying. All your fermented foods comes under tamas, like your breads, your kombuchas, kefir, sorkat, pickles. So, someone who's having a very sattvic diet of just say moong dal khichdi every day will have a dollop of pickle, which is tamasic, in that khichdi to balance themselves.
So is there a way to maintain balance between these three groups, and is it recommended?
Absolutely. So, I would say at least 60 to 70% of your diet must be sattvic. Again, the food pyramid, which I spoke about in terms of modern science.
Yeah.
Your fruits, your vegetables, grains, pulses, legumes, nuts, seeds. You need to make sure that at least 70% of your diet is this. And then comes your rajasic, condiments, spices. Even your turmeric is actually heaty.
Of course.
Salt,
Yeah.
chili, coriander, cumin, fennel. Cumin and fennel can be sattvic as well, right? But it can also be rajasic because it stimulates the metabolic fire. It's carminative in nature. So you need to have condiments and spices. Rajasic can be 20%. Tamas or tamasic food should be reduced to 5 to 10%. Okay.
Understood.
We need some of it. We need some amount of kombucha, kefir, sorkata, pickles, right? Pickles is what we have in the Indian culture. We need an idli, dosa or a dhokla, which is fermented overnight, maybe once a week. But unfortunately, because it's so delicious and tasty, people have started overdoing it, eating it almost every day, like some kind of a snack or a cheat meal. Like back in the day in my family, we would have idli and dosa only on a Sunday, and everyone would take a big nap because all that fermented food is acting on your gut and multiplying the gut bacteria, and you need to be resting and sleeping. So that works. So Sunday naps and Sunday fermented foods went hand in hand.
Right. Understood. Okay. So now we have this vast amount of information again, right? About food science, about food chemistry, the three food groups, how to balance them. It can be a lot to unpack for the people who are watching. Let's start with the basics. The idea of this episode, the idea of this series is so that people can have practical inputs to at least begin their journey of realignment.
Absolutely.
What are the three things that you would advise people to begin with? To just begin living more mindfully, to begin living, subscribing to the concepts of Ayurveda.
Okay. First thing is food chemistry or viruddhahar. This is something that I stress on a lot. You could be eating a lot of healthy, clean ingredients. But if you're eating wrong combinations, then you're actually poisoning the body. Remember, food can either nourish you or even poison you. 90% of the diseases are caused due to internal factors, which is your diet and lifestyle. Right? You become what you eat. So at least become aware and conscious about the combinations of foods on your plate. Okay. We spoke about the number one rule, which was don't heat honey. Don't put it in your teas and coffees. Don't put it in hot water excessively. It can be put in warm water below 42 degrees Celsius. Otherwise, do not consume honey outside your home because you don't know how it has been stored. Number two, eat fruit alone or leave it alone. Keep a 2-hour gap before fruits and 1 hour gap after fruits. So if you've had breakfast, wait for 2 hours and then eat a fruit. If you've had fruit, wait for 1 hour and then eat breakfast. Number three, vegetables. Make sure it's washed well. Make sure it's boiled, steamed, blanched, cooked with some condiments and spices that are carminative in nature, that stimulate your metabolic fire and then aid the digestion process. Okay. And then make sure your grains and pulses, legumes, lentils, nuts and seeds are soaked overnight. So number one is food chemistry.
Yeah.
Okay, don't mix wrong food groups. Even in fruits, we say don't mix multiple fruits together because they're all different in nature. They could be sour, they could be astringent, they could be sweet, and they all three have different activities and roles to play inside the body. Number one is food chemistry. Number two is plant slant. Okay, you must lean towards plant-based foods that are called sun foods. It's good for your body, it's good for your planet, it's good for the environment, it's good for everybody because when you start having more plant-based foods, you're also increasing your sattva, the good emotions in your body. Kindness, compassion, passion, forgiveness. Passion comes from rajas actually. Kindness, compassion, forgiveness, empathy, loving nature. That's exactly what we need to invest in right now because we're bombarded with so much information that we're on an information overload mentally, emotionally, which is upsetting our energies as well. So if you can use food to bring your body down to a state of calm, it's like grounding your body. So number two is plant slant. Number one was food chemistry. And number three would be expressing gratitude to food before you put it in your mouth. It's probably one of the most important things. I wanted to say drink a lot of water, but I was like, wait, we know that. Gratitude is probably the best thing you can do in the world. I say this quite often to my clients. 1 grain of rice is the most powerful thing in the world. It can satiate the hunger of even gods when offered with kindness and love. There's an experiment that was done by a Japanese scientist, where they took cooked rice and they said kind things to, not cooked rice, they soaked rice in water They sent kind things to the water that was, with the rice in a jar that said kindness. They said cruel things to the other one, like I hate you, to the other jar. And they said nothing to the third one. The rice that had kind things being spoken to germinated well. It was fresh even after 7 days. The rice that had cruel things said to it started rotting and collecting black fungus, which is poisonous. And the rice that had nothing been said to it just remained dormant. It neither grew nor did it rot. The same thing applies to the food on your plate. When you express gratitude, you're bringing all your negative energies down to a state of centeredness, groundedness, and you're able to receive that food with kindness, and your gut actually reciprocates to that kindness by digesting the food way much better. So express kindness and gratitude to the farmers who grew that food, and put food on your plate and slept hungry many days, to the logistic farmers and, the logistic people who brought the food to you, to your cook, your chef, your maid. Be grateful to them and respectful to them, to your body for being able to digest food. How many people are not able to digest, and how many people don't have food on their plate?
Yeah. I think, and that's something that everybody can just implement.
Oh,
it's
my
so
God.
easy to implement.
A little prayer.
Yeah. Okay, fantastic. We'll move into the next segment, which is about Ayurveda and spirituality. How does Ayurveda emphasize the interconnectedness of physical, mental, and spiritual well-being?
Ayurveda has a very interesting chapter in it, which talks about the 4 purpose of life. And that's probably one of the first chapters I came across, and I was amazed that it spoke about spirituality. I didn't expect to find spirituality in Ayurveda. I thought it's just a science. The 4 purpose of life is dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. Dharma means following the path of righteousness, no matter what. No matter how difficult the situation is, do the right thing. Okay? Artha is earning money in a legal way. Never do something that is obscene or illegal, because you will pay the price for it. Karma is such that it's going to come back to you. The third one is kama. It is not Kama Sutra that we talk about. Kama means fulfilling all your desires, be it to have a family or to have a career or, to achieve something in your life. Whatever is the purpose of your life in this materialistic world, in this physical world, go ahead and achieve it, so that you're not born again and again, craving and wanting it. And when you've satiated all your desires and there's nothing left, then comes moksha, which is finding the path of salvation, breaking the cycle of life and death. Because whether you believe it or not, reincarnation is a real concept. We're going to be born again and again and again till we break that cycle. So Ayurveda speaks about the 4 purpose of life. Ayurveda also goes deeper to explain that diseases is a manifestation of what's going on in the mind. All diseases have a psychosomatic origin, so you have to fix the mind, right? Your spirituality, your energetic level by, fixing the energy clock, and your mental health, you need to fix what's going on in your mind. Get rid of the toxins, get rid of the garbage, get rid of the arguments and the prisoners in your mind, people you're not able to forgive. Get rid of those as well, because if you hold on to all those negative memories, it gets translated into negative energetics for the body. The cells start misbehaving, and when the cell starts multiplying uncontrollably, it's called cancer. Cancer is just one big word, right? But it can cause so many other diseases. All diseases have a psychosomatic origin. And it's a buildup of wrong karmic actions. Like say something as simple as, I'm having a big glass of Coke before going to bed at night. That's a wrong karmic action, which is going to multiply and have a serious effect on my health one day. So karma is basically doing the wrong thing repeatedly and then paying a price for it, or doing the right thing, which is called kriya, and breaking karma.
Yeah. So if there was one spiritual practice or technique that Ayurveda subscribes to lead this kind of a holistic, healthier lifestyle, just one, that you think would be implementable, what would that be?
From Ayurvedic perspective?
Yes.
Or from
Ayurvedic perspective.
Ayurveda also speaks about meditation. Ayurveda is called the mother of all sciences, and yoga considers Ayurveda as its mother.
Yeah.
All those people say Ayurveda and yoga are the 2 sister sciences. The purpose of yoga and Ayurveda is to heal your body, get rid of diseases, and prepare your body for meditation so you can attain salvation. So let's not forget the end goal. It's like, you're sitting in a train carriage. You have so many things in the train. You have like coal and freight and this and that. But let's not forget what's the end purpose of our life, which is to find moksha. And that will only happen through meditation. That's what Ayurveda and yoga is.
So you're saying meditation.
That's the end journey.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, I endorse that. Please meditate. I meditate all the time. And I've just come back from a 4-day silence in the Art of Living ashram in Bangalore. And it was absolute bliss. And there was so much meditation and so much breath. And I know what it did to me after. So just adding my 2 bits in this segment because I feel like I must say it to everybody watching.
Absolutely. I think everybody is creating so much value. It's just that they don't know. And of course, you've been validated. I wish everybody would start validating what they're good at.
Yeah. Let's talk about sleep. A lot of people struggle with sleep when you're looking at the person. I wake up very often. I don't have this restful, blissful sleep, sometimes where you just don't know and you wake up when the sun is up or before the sun is up. What are some of the mindful practices or 1 or 2 practices that Ayurveda says you can do during your restful phase, like after work or right before going to sleep, that allows you to sleep better?
See, number 1 is make sure you've had your last meal 3 hours before bedtime. You cannot have a big meal and go to bed and then your gut is sitting with that pile of undigested food awake all night. Your gut is awake. Your digestive organs are awake. How is the brain going to fall asleep? You're not going to have deep sleep. If you really want to have deep sleep, you must have a 3-hour gap between the last meal and by the time you go to bed. Number 1, your digestion process should have got completed. It takes at least 3 hours to digest an entire meal. So say you have food by around, say, 6 o'clock or 7 latest. By the time you go to bed at 10, the food is fully digested, absorbed and assimilated, and it has been pushed down towards the large intestine, which is now going to take care of absorbing moisture throughout the night and prepare the body for elimination. Drink your water before 7. Some people have a tendency of drinking a lot of water during the second half of the day, which is actually wrong. You must drink all the water that you want during the first half of the day before 4 o'clock and start slowing down. Some people actually don't touch water after 6 o'clock. In some cultures, like the Jain community, they don't drink water after 6. Because your kidney gets overwhelmed when you drink a lot of water. You're going to wake up in the middle of the night to go release. Which is not fair to yourself and to your kidneys, to be honest. So slow down on the food. Make sure it's 3 hours before bedtime. Slow down on the liquids also. Make sure to just have 1 glass maybe before bedtime because that helps in preventing cardiac arrest. Dehydration is the number 1 cause of cardiac arrest, which usually happens in the mornings. And this is something the ER will tell you around the world. The emergency rooms will say that cardiac arrest usually happens in the mornings and it has a strong relationship with dehydration. And number 3 is electronics. Okay, it is such an addiction now. We've been sucked in, it's like a black hole, especially the social media. And I work on social media myself. And once I'm done posting my content, I'm done. I don't want to consume anybody else's content, right? The problem with blue screen or the blue light is that it confuses your brain into thinking that it's daylight. So blue light tricks your body and your brain to release different kinds of chemicals like your cortisol and your serotonin, which is your happiness drug, which you're getting from, consuming content very quickly. But your melatonin, which is a hormone that is produced in response to light and darkness, is not getting produced. And now a lot of people are having melatonin tablets at night, which is an artificial way of inducing sleep. So the best way to induce sleep is switch off your electronics 1 hour before bedtime. 9 p.m. Okay, so you've finished your solid foods 3 hours before bedtime. Your liquids is also done 2 hours before bedtime. Your electronics goes away 1 hour before bedtime. The last 1 hour is for you to go within and analyze what you did today. What did you learn? What did you grow at? What did you do wrong? Do you want to fix it? Do you want to say sorry to someone before you go to bed? It's better to apologize because who's seen tomorrow, right? If you do these simple things, your body starts shutting down. And the best thing to make you fall asleep is actually reading a book. No matter how interesting it is, you will fall asleep.
At some point you're going to fall asleep.
Because you're looking at only 2 colors. You're looking at black and white. You've reduced the amount of information you're consuming. Now, here's the interesting fact about the eyes. Every second, it consumes about 10 million bits of information. Okay, imagine when I'm looking at you, when I'm looking at this, I'm consuming so many different colors and textures and all of that. Now, if I sit and analyze every bit of information, I'm going to go crazy. The brain consumes all of that information, transforms it into reality, and only tells me, hey, you're talking to this person. That's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
Carry on with the conversation. Forget the green and the white and the brown and the blue. That has nothing to do with this conversation right now, right? When you start staring at a book, preferably not a comic book at night, a good book, it could be fiction, could be non-fiction, could be a biography, anything, or a health book, something that positively contributes to your life. When you start looking at black and white, the rest of your body then starts shutting down while the eye and the brain alone are engaged in reading. It's like distracting a child. So say you have to leave the house, but your child is very clingy. What are you going to do? Run in front of the child? No. You're going to distract the child with some toy while you finish the task behind.
Yeah.
That's exactly what you're doing to your body. You're keeping the brain and eye engaged on that page, and the rest of the body starts shutting down. Your liver, your gallbladder, intestines, all of them go into a resting phase. They don't shut down. They go into a resting phase. And the minute you fall asleep, the liver kicks into action and starts detoxifying the body.
Yeah.
That, if you do 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., that 4-hour sleep is the best. And I've seen a lot of people, I've done this mistake, to be honest, partying 5 times a week. Okay? We've all done that, late night dinners and socializing and this and that. Let me tell you, when you keep missing that 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. clock, the amount of serotonin your body can produce starts dropping. Okay? Instead of sleeping at 10, you sleep at 11, your serotonin level has dropped by 25%. Then 12, another 50%. Not just that. All the built-up of the damaged tissues, muscles, and nerves, which are waking up right now and waiting to be fixed, are not getting fixed. Next day, another night out. Day 3, your body shuts down and you fall asleep and it refuses to get out of the pajamas. No matter how tempting the party is, you just can't drag
move.
yourself out.
Yeah, it happens.
Because the body's going to do that to you. The body's going to punish you by shutting you down.
It's going to shut it. Yeah.
So eventually you have to make a call, let's be a little more disciplined and not go in conflict with the body.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay, some great tips. I'm going to move on to the next segment. It's called busting myths. Just things that people hear or say and believe, and you're the best person to kind of say that this is true or not. Just quick fire answers, right? Spicy food irritates your stomach and causes ulcers.
If you are a Pitta Prakriti and your metabolic fire is already very high, yes, it can.
Okay. Probiotics are a magic bullet for gut health.
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
Okay. Probiotics are great for those whose gut bacteria or gut flora is weak, but for someone who's a Pitta or a mesomorph with a very active gut bacteria, gut flora, it could actually irritate them. So fermented foods can actually cause burning sensation, acidity, reflux for a Pitta Prakriti. It can cause sluggishness for a Kapha Prakriti.
So I think we're rooting back to the fact that you just need to figure out what dosha you are.
Oh God. Nutrition is personalized, right? One man's nutrition is another man's poison. You need to know what
to eat,
model this body is, what engine this is, and then you need to know what fuel to put inside that engine.
Yeah, 100%. Apple cider vinegar can cure all digestive problems.
I absolutely dismiss it.
Okay.
I'm not a big fan of apple cider vinegar. It is twice fermented. It's twice stronger than alcohol. And would you put alcohol in your stomach empty? When it's empty early in the morning, you wouldn't. Apple cider vinegar gives you quick fix results in the beginning. It makes you lose weight. It's, dissolving all the undigested food and the heavy metals, toxins, and parasites. But in the long run, it's actually stripping away the ojas, the adipose, the good fat lining of your gut. And it's actually going to cause a lot of long-term serious damages, including skin disorders.
Okay. Ayurveda is only for vegetarians.
Not at all. Ayurveda was for the Kshatriyas, for the Brahmins. Everybody practiced Ayurveda back in the day.
Ayurveda treatments are expensive and inaccessible.
Not expensive. It depends on who you're going to, obviously. Everybody's got a different rate card.
Of course.
Inaccessible, I could say that, honestly, because of lack of education and awareness. There could be an Ayurvedic doctor sitting next door, but you just don't know.
Yeah.
Because unfortunately, during the colonial era, the Ayurvedic community got destroyed. There was funding available only for doing research and development for sciences that were taught in English, basically to push Western medicine into Indian subcontinent and to create demand for the chemical industries that were being set up in Europe at that point in time, which provided for the pharmaceutical industries, right? So only those sciences were funded. For about 400, 500 years, Ayurvedic science was not funded. There became a language gap, a communication gap, a research and development gap, a time gap, and an understanding gap. Now, the doctor's saying something, but the patient's not understanding anything. That's where we play a role. We try to bridge that gap.
And make it more accessible.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's hope that this episode helps in at least taking that step 1 towards the knowledge module. It brings us to the end of the episode, and I feel like I've learned so much, and I'm going to start implementing the basics of the things that you've told me specifically. To end with, I'm going to ask a question that's pretty generic, but also specific. It's one of those. What can one do to just start realigning their gut health to have a more holistic lifestyle? So now, whether that is on a mental level, on a physical level, on a sleep level, on a mental health level, what is a practice that we can begin with to begin this journey?
Start listening to your gut. Okay. Your gut is a very clever organ, and it's not a single organ, it's a collection of organs, and it's the largest set of organs in the body. Your digestive, health is probably the largest set of organs which surpasses, everything. Your brain and your heart is nothing compared to it. Listen to your gut. Give your gut what it needs when it needs. But the problem, unfortunately, now is your gut is giving a lot of misleading signals, because of the presence of bad bacteria and worms that are creating wrong cravings, right? So you first start with discipline. Start saying no to the unhealthy bacteria in your gut that is creating the wrong cravings for that packet of chips. Stop eating anything that comes in a packet. That's the number one rule for gut health. Farm to table is the rule. Okay, anything that comes out of a packet is terrible, because if it can survive on the shelf for 6 months, it can survive in your gut also for 6 months, the preservatives.
God, yeah.
So get rid of the packaged food from your house. I'm not a big fan of even, pre-packaged ginger, garlic, and onion, and tomato sauces, and mayonnaise, and, salad dressings. All these pre-packaged foods is not healthy. The food industry thrives on your addiction to these foods, not your health.
Yeah.
The farmer profits from your disease, not your health. So once you get these basic concepts right and start disciplining the bad bacteria, saying, no, I will not eat this bar of chocolate, then you start listening to the good bacteria. Suddenly you start craving foods like Karela out of the blue. And you'll be like, why am I craving a Karela chip?
Yeah.
Because your body wants to detoxify. One day you'll wake up craving, sour foods because the body wants to cleanse the tissues. One day you'll wake up craving sweet foods. The body wants to build new tissues. You'll crave salty foods suddenly. The body wants to lubricate the tissues from inside. Pungent, astringent foods. Your body then starts craving a certain taste. But you need to get to that level of intellectual capacity.
Yeah.
And honestly, your intellectual capacities also come from your gut.
Yeah.
It's directly connected to your brain and to your spiritual health.
Thank you so much for that. I hope it inspires people to inspires and scares, because you have scared me.
Yes, I'm known for scaring people.
Yeah. I hope it inspires and scares people to take their gut health more seriously, to at least begin the process of understanding, to read more, to perhaps engage in this conversation, to the various documents that we will be attaching to this, and begin their journey with Ayurveda. Thank you so much. It's been a lovely time, and I can actually say that it's encouraged me to make changes in my life. So let's hope it does that for more people.
I'm so glad. Our vision is to make preventive healthcare practices like Ayurveda, yoga, global phenomena, and a household practice, and that's where we're heading. And thank you for holding space for a healthy conversation, because with every conversation that's healthy, we're contributing to the community as a whole. So thank you for holding space.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We hope this episode added value to your lives. Join the Realign movement. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and we'll see you in the next one.